Good evening, and welcome to the Hatfields and McCoys Radio Hour, presented by Theater West Virginia, bringing our state the finest in outdoor drama since 1961, and the finest in historical radio drama since 2020. Tonight's presentation is being broadcast from Colwood, West Virginia, and is sponsored by local business, Blevins Moonshine Palace. And here in the studio, we have the proprietor of said fine establishment, Mr. John I. Blevin. Thank you for joining us, Mr. I.
Hey, and thanks yourself for having me.
Indeed. Always a pleasure, Mr. I. Now, I must say, too, this is a particularly special appearance you're making, because as most of our listeners can confirm, we're broadcasting from the current year of 2020, which has been a hard enough year as is. I understand you're coming to us from a similarly difficult time in the year 1957. Is that right?
That's right. You know, just last week we saw a Russian satellite fly right across the October sky above Colwood and thought the devil himself was passing over our nation.
So I heard, John I. They even interrupted Gunsmoke for it. And you know it's always serious when they make us miss Gunsmoke.
It is. But you know, we've seen worse in Colwood.
Yes, I can imagine.
See, even back in my day, Theater West Virginia was just getting started. But now I hear you're having to shut down your shows for the first time in 60 years?
Well, that's right, John I. Due to the ongoing pandemic, we are unable to take the stage this summer. But we've found ways to keep bringing the unique culture and history of our state to the world, whatever it takes.
Well, I'm here to help you out with that too. Now, I may just run a small old-timey moonshinery, but I'm willing to go all out to help you.
Is that so? Well, we definitely appreciate it, Mr. I. But what's your plan?
Well, just go online and find the link to make a donation. That's where you won't have to look too far to make West Virginia heaven for the arts.
Thank you, John I. Blevin. Indeed, you can go to facebook.com/theaterwv and make a tax-deductible donation to keep the arts alive in southern West Virginia. Now, thank you again for joining us, Mr. I. Anything you'd like to say before we continue on with the show?
Well, I just want to wish Sonny Hickam and his friends the best at the National Science Fair, provided they don't forget where they've come from. Because everyone around these parts know it was old John I's moonshine that made them rockets fly higher than a kid on Christmas. And you can mint that, print it, and mark it with a T. And my moonshine has been getting kids drunk since 1932. And I know that John I's got the best moonshine.
Thank you again to our sponsor, John I. Blevin of Blevin's Moonshine Palace. And now, without further ado, please sit back and enjoy the Hatfields and McCoys.
The Hatfields and the McCoys fought a bloody vendetta that wrote their names on the lips of people the world over. Their story has been told and retold by word of mouth, the people's history book, until the real men and women diffuse in a myth and their deeds become tangled in legend. But they did live. They did exist. Welcome to this week's episode, Juliet of the Mountains. Even from the time it began, the source of the feud between the Hatfields of West Virginia and the McCoys of Kentucky was disputed, even by those who fought it. Some say it grew from lingering grudges after the Civil War. Others say the legal battle over the ownership of a hog was to blame. Whatever the spark of resentment may have come from, though, the forbidden love of Johnse Hatfield and Roseanne McCoy fueled it into a flame. We begin this week's story where last week's ended, outside of Preacher Anse Hatfield's cabin. Jubilant Hatfield sprinted away, having emerged victorious in the all-important pig trial, while dejected McCoys sauntered off defeated.
This court is adjourned. Go now in peace.
Yeah, a lot of good that peace does us.
Now, I done told you, Roseanne, we came here to support your daddy. Whichever way it may have turned out, we can at least put this squabbling aside.
Don't pay her no mind, Mama. We's just glad to get outsiders for once, right, Josephine?
Oh, Roseanne's been glad to get out too, Allifair. Been a while since she's been able to make eyes at the menfolk. Lesson you count Tolbert and Famer.
Ewan's best bite your tongue now, you hear?
Now you girls stop it. Now, things is bad enough without your squabbling. Come on now. Roseanne, you wait here for your daddy.
Boy, Johnse, it's a good thing Floyd ain't asked you up on the stand. You'd have just been like,
I don't know about no hog preacher ants. I'ma just hog wild for them McCoy gals.
Boy, if you was anything but a Hatfield, I'd shoot you.
tough talk, fancy boy.
Just shut up and get along with Uncle Jim Cap.
All right, I surrender. You just don't belong now, else I'll tell Daddy you done defected.
Defected to what? Oh, dang. Oh,
Shoulda got a ride when you had a chance, huh?
yeah, you suppose?
Yeah, I do. Walking back home don't sound too good right now.
Don't it? Well, good for me. I'm the adventurous type.
That so?
Of course, couldn't you tell? Heard it said that black sheep always know their own kind.
Roseanne?
Yeah? Well, if and you see one, let me know. Black sheep. Coming, Daddy. Enjoy the walk home.
Josephine, where's Tolbert?
He went to the still, Mama. Said he was gonna get drunk.
Well, that ain't gonna make nothing no better. I swear. Men's always looking to moonshine, whether they's feeling high or low.
Well, that's 'cause they think it helps them.
Were that the case, you'd think it'd calm 'em down some. Well, here comes one that ain't gonna calm down anytime soon. Now you girls get on in and get supper going.
Yes, Mama.
Randall?
Sarah, them girls making supper yet?
Yes, sir, Daddy.
Good. I bring you one more to help.
Roseanne?
What? You reckon 3 of us can stir the pot better than 2?
You know your daddy ain't quite himself right now.
So?
Don't you start with that. Them Hatfields just made a fool of him, and he don't need you making it any worse.
How's that my fault? You want to smack someone over Daddy losing a hog? You best smack Famer and Tolbert twice as hard.
Famer and Tolbert do as they daddy tells them. But you don't so much, do you?
Don't I? Maybe 'cause I seen where that got Famer and Tolbert. Same place you and Daddy got to. Nowhere new and nowhere good.
Roseanne!
Meat's in the cupboard, the hide's in the churn. Meat's in the cupboard, the hide's in the churn. That ain't a groundhog.
I'll be darned.
I see there now, Mary, you're cooking like a Hatfield already.
I'm trying, Mama, but ain't it Johnse's turn to stir?
All in good time. He'll be along home soon enough.
Groundhog. Lordy, mama, I'm hungry. What you got to eat?
Yeah, you need to eat some. Soak up that moonshine.
John's got drunk on moonshine. John's got drunk on moonshine.
What can I say? It's heaven in a jar. Hoo-wee.
About time. It's your turn to stir, Johnse.
Now don't you let him anywhere near that pot. Take a seat there, Johnse.
But Mama!
Mary, don't.
Fine enough. Johnse goes off and gets drunk just to make more work for the rest of us.
Well, I didn't mean to, Mary.
Oh, now you just sit there, Johnse. Wouldn't be the first time one of these Hatfield men come home too drunk to help with supper. Now you keep on like this, Johnse, and I'll see to it that you stay home next election.
Oh, come on, Mama. Daddy always lets me go. Besides, I'm 18-year-old.
And that ain't still too old for me to whoop you. Now I know you thinks you's the man now, pretty nigh old enough to vote. But a man has got to carry himself better than you do. Election time's supposed to be civil, and I expect my boys to be better than that, even. Now, it's bad enough your brother Cap's all hell-bent on taking after your Uncle Jim. I don't want that for you.
Stew's up. Eat up, Johnse.
Now, when you're done, you get on to sleep. Election time's still a year off, but the way time flies, it'll be here before you know it.
Woo-wee! Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Pike County Cloggers!
You're as crazy as a cooler bug in a jar of cider, Randall. Y'all can't do it.
Well, all I know is what I know, Jim Vance. And them's the facts.
Now, Randall, what you uns barking about?
Hell, Sarah, these here West Virginians think they sharpshoot. But I done told them my boy Talbot can shoot the ear off a squirrel at 100 yards.
And so can a Hatfield. Any one of them.
Yeah? Well, I got this here 25-cent piece riding on the dog.
Here's mine.
Well, who's gonna shoot for the Hatfield?
Oh, let me, Uncle Jim.
Johnse Hatfield. Devil Ant's firstborn. Now where's Talbot?
Yonder he comes.
Well, howdy, Johnse. I hope you shoot as good as you talk.
This here 50-cent piece says I do, but on one condition.
What's that?
We'll let your sister Roseanne hold it, and if and I win, she'll let me buy her a sweet cake.
Yeah? And what if I ain't hungry for no sweet cake?
You hear that, Johnse?
Well, if you don't want it, I'll take it, Roseanne.
Hush up, Allifair. It's fine. I'd be happy to.
Is your hand steady, Talbot?
Yes. Yes, Mama.
Now, Johnse, you remember what I told you now.
What's that, Mama?
Be better.
I will, Mama.
Now then, Johnse and Talbot, now you both step up to this here line. It'll be a free-standing, free-holding shot. Now, as the underdog, Talbot can take the first shot. Ready? Aim. Fire.
Woo! Ha ha! Bullseye! Great shot, boy.
You want me to shoot for you, Johnse?
No, Uncle Ellison. There's too much riding on it. And I don't mean the money.
Dang it. I can't find his mark.
I reckon he missed.
Not so fast, Randolph. Let's all gather at that there bullseye.
What do you say, Roseanne?
Don't know. I ain't never seen you shoot.
Yeah? Well, I ain't never seen me shoot neither. Come on. Black sheep.
Where are you taking me to?
A place where the May apples is already a-bloomin'. Come on. Ooh-wee. Looky yonder. There's the Tug River. Over there's West Virginia. And there's Kentucky. And about yonder be our cabin.
That's so, huh? Our cabin?
Well, one of these days.
Bit presumptuous of you, ain't you? How come you brought me up here anyhow?
You're purty. I mean, you're beautiful. Hell, ain't no woman ever struck me down like you.
Not even my cousin Nancy?
Nancy?
Never mind. Just, I heard about you, Johnse. How you're real good about falling in love, but downright awful at staying that way.
Yeah, reckon you're right. I'm downright awful at a lot of things.
Now you stop feeling sorry for yourself, Johnse Hatfield. We already got enough sorriness between the both of us.
Here now, I ain't so,
Just shut it, Johnse. Please.
Wait, Roseanne. I've just never felt more like, climbing trees, jumping mountains, and,
I said shut it, Johnse. You had me. You had me from the first time we walked home together.
But we never walked home together. In fact, you left me there.
No, we walked home alone that day. At least we were herded that way. Black sheep always are. But I guess we got lost, didn't we?
Yeah, but we're here, ain't we?
Well, come on then.
Thus, in the midst of deepest hatred, love shines through, though it may be for the briefest of moments. But even in that brief moment, we can see a glimpse of the way these two feuding families could be, in spite of the way that they are. As Johnse and Roseanne are finding, more connects them than divides them. If only their respective families would realize that.
Thank you for joining us for this evening's episode of the Hatfields and McCoys. The script was adapted by Nick Yurick, inspired by the play by Billy Edd Wheeler, with music composed by Ewel Cornett. Sound editing was done by Sam Yurick. Tonight's cast featured Brian Kenton as your sponsor, John I. Blevin, Sarah Lee Beason as your narrator and Mary Hatfield, Dan Hasty as Preacher Anse Hatfield, Ashely Davis as Roseanne McCoy, Austin Seipp as Johnse Hatfield, Wendy Sullivan as Sarah McCoy, Rebekah New as Allifair McCoy, Lindsey Palmer as Josephine McCoy, Dan Manning as Randolph McCoy, Tommy Crossan as Cap Hatfield, Sharon Chadwick as Levice Hatfield, Lou Whitener as Ellison Hatfield, Rick Olson as Talbot McCoy, and Michael Martin as Jim Vance. Visit facebook.com patreon.com/theaterwv and make a tax-deductible donation to keep the arts alive in southern West Virginia. Join us next week for episode 4, An Eye for an Eye.